So moved. Capillardo.
May I have a second?
Second, Farrell.
All in favor?
Aye.
Welcome to this evening's board meeting. Notice of this regular meeting of the Pitman Board of Education was advertised in the South Jersey Times, posted at Borough Hall, a copy thereof delivered to all Pitman schools to be posted and posted on the district's website. Further, notice was posted and filed as required by law stating that the board would meet in closed session at 7 p.m. in the Pitman High School Media Center. The President shall entertain any motions or objections with supporting reasons to the conduct of this meeting on the grounds that it violates the Open Public Meeting Act. Seeing none. Thanks for joining us for this board meeting. Please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you. Please join me in a salute to the flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mrs. Rose, please call roll. Ms. Miller, present. Ms. Pappalardo.
I'm here.
Mr. Grossman.
Here.
Ms. Sigliano.
Here.
Ms. Farrell.
Here.
Ms. Pote.
Here.
Ms. Bolton.
Here.
Mr. Crispin.
Here.
All here.
So this evening, we're going to turn it over to Mr. Crispin for a brief presentation before we get started.
I'm going to slide over here. So get closer, everybody. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming out here tonight. We know at the start of our school year, one of the more exciting things that we do as a school district is we have back-to-school nights. We have back-to-school nights at each of our schools. Gives us an opportunity for us as parents and community members to come in and get to know our staff a little bit, get to know what's happening with our instructional program. We'd like to entitle this as kind of our back-to-school night board meeting, where the board gets an opportunity to meet some of our new staff members. And oddly enough, we have quite a few. Normally, I don't know what the history has been here. I've been here only a relatively short time, but I remember last year, we had nowhere near this number, and I don't know about years before that. And certainly given our circumstances, that we lost a lot of staff over this past year in terms of positions, and yet we still have a lot of new staff members. And I think the one thing that I want to just make sure we all remember, and especially as a Board of Education and as administration, and I think I may have shared this for those individuals that were part of our new teacher orientation, we all recognize that without a doubt, the most important thing we do as a Board of Education and as administration is hire the very, very best people we can for our positions. That is the strongest impact that we can ever have in terms of what happens inside the classroom with our students. We can approve all the most beautiful curriculums that Rebecca is ever going to create for us and buy the greatest textbooks in the world and have the greatest computers and one-to-ones and all that. But if we don't have great teachers, it's just not going to make a difference. And we're really excited. I think even given the challenges that we face in the world today with less people coming into this profession, hopefully we're doing something right, because there's a group of people here that really are excited about working here in the Pitman School District. So tonight, we have an opportunity to have them introduce themselves to you. Hopefully you have all my directions that I provided. We're going to start with the junior, senior high school, then we're going to go to Pitman Elementary School, and then to Memorial. I will be calling them up, and I will call them up by their first names, and then they will come up and introduce themselves to you. They're going to share a little bit about themselves, educational experience, teaching experience, something maybe on a personal level, and something maybe just a little bit about their experience in the first month or so here in Pitman. So with that, we're going to be at the junior, senior high school, and you'll see that this is going to go in somewhat of an alphabetical order. So that means, I think, Megan, you get to go first. Perfect. All right, perfect.
All right, hello.
I'm Megan Bracken. I'm teaching math at the high school. I have, 4 different classes. I went to Rowan University. I got my bachelor's in math, and then I got my master's in STEM education. My family has grew up in Pitman, so it's kind of nice to be back, even though I didn't go to the school here. So far, the school has been great. I love all the kids. All the staff is so friendly and so helpful. It's really been a great experience so far.
Next one we have is Stacy.
Hi, my name's Stacy. I've been in education close to 20 years, so I've been teaching since I was 20? No, I'm lying. I've been in education a while, and I've had the opportunity to teach in different types of school districts, urban, suburban. I'm a librarian, so unfortunately this position tends to get riffed a lot. And I've had a lot of experience as a result of that. I've worked most recently in Cherry Hill for the past 6 years in a K-5 school. I've taught the Talented and Gifted program, information literacy, and I've worked with our ASD program and our LLD. I'm ready to get back to middle and high school. I've done that as well. I've had the opportunity to turn a lot of libraries around. In Philadelphia, I was hired by the Mass Community Charter School, where they actually built the library, and I had to work with the curriculum director in designing a K-12 program. My kids are a little bit older now, so I'm not in touch with the culture, the cartoons, and I have no idea, and I feel a little disconnected from that, so I just feel it's the right time to move on. Plus, I left my library in Cherry Hill in great shape, and that's what I do. So I like to leave it better than I found it. My degree is from Syracuse University in Library and Information Science. I also went to Rowan University, and I have a master's in school leadership, and I'm actually completing a school counseling degree as well. Just kind of helps you get to know the kids a little better. And I love learning, so I think that's pretty obvious. Thank you.
About our biology teacher at high school, Vicki?
I wrote down what I was going to say. Hi, thank you for having me. My name is Vicki Peliganis, and my prior educational experience, I attended Rutgers Camden. I received a bachelor's in biology, and I obtained a New Jersey Standard Teaching Certificate in secondary education in biological science. I taught biology and environmental science at Paulsboro in 2000, but then I chose to leave the profession to work part-time at my church to be home to raise my 4 sons. I returned back to my career as a teacher when my youngest was in grade school. My oldest son, Ryan, is now 26, and he is pursuing a PhD at Johns Hopkins in neuroscience. My 19-year-old son, John, is taking over my dad's business as a security gate installer. I have a 14-year-old and a 17-year-old, Gabriel and Caleb, 9th and 11th grade at Washington Township Public Schools. Both of them made the varsity football team, and my husband, Ryan, and I enjoy going to the games to watch them play. On my journey back to being a teacher, I started as a long-term sub for a maternity leave position at Deptford High School. Then I got hired at Pensgrove High School in 2015. I taught there for 8 years, and I won many environmental grants to build an environmental science learning center in their courtyard. The courtyard had been closed down for years due to students fighting, but with the grant money, the administration opened it up again for my students to build a 15 by 35 outdoor classroom that also served as a butterfly sanctuary. After this was completed, we also built an aquaponics lab to mitigate the food desert epidemic in the urban community. The students were taught how to raise and breed food-grade tilapia and grow vegetables and other plants for our pollinator garden. Before I was hired here at Pitman High School, I briefly worked at Camden Mastery Charter High School teaching physics. My goal always was to eventually teach at a school closer to home, so I'm very happy to be here. It's also saving me 10 hours a week in commuting time. So far, working here at Pitman has been great. The students are well behaved. They work hard to do well on their assignments and tests. The Origins of the Universe class just completed a video to highlight some of the interesting material being taught, and I just sent that to Mrs. Moody to post it on the Pitman social media venues. Our environmental science students recently did a butterfly release, which I'm trying to replicate what I did a little bit at Pensgrove. We partner with the University of Kansas and the University of Georgia, and it's very research-based. They look under a microscope to detect whether the butterflies are sick with a debilitating disease called OE. So we just got done all of that, and they're going to have a video to express that journey that we started in September. So I just really want to thank you for the opportunity to be here. I'm very nervous talking in front of people. I have like an anxiety disorder with talking in front of people. But I'm not like this in the class with my students, I can promise you that. I've always been nervous talking in front of people. It's funny, this is my profession. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you. other people that could not be here from the high school. Miss Dawn Bell, but we know Dawn very, very well as one of our former vice principal at the middle school. Kelly Roberts is an art teacher, a new art teacher at the high school, and she just asked me to share some thoughts. She had a very difficult decision to make tonight. She had a very difficult decision, either come to the board meeting or go to the Powder Puff football.
We did see her
You
there.
saw her there?
We were hustling over.
Okay,
Yeah.
good, good. So let me just read. My name is Kelly Roberts. I'm the art teacher for 7th and 8th grade and high school digital photography at Pitman Junior Senior High School. I'm sorry I could not be there in person, but I volunteered to help with the Powder Puff game tonight. I still wanted to be able to introduce myself, some background about myself. I attended and graduated from the University of Arts in Philadelphia. My major was graphic design and a minor in art education. My teaching experiences were in different school districts like Camden, Commercial Township, Oakland, Collingswood. Most recently, I taught 4th through 8th grade art for 4 years at Egg Harbor City Public Schools. I just recently moved back to Washington Township. I'm a Washington Township Public Schools graduate. I'm in the process of buying a house next to my parents, so I'm putting down roots here. Some of my interests are my love for the Philadelphia sports teams and making sure that there's plenty of food to consume during the games. I love baking, decorating what I make, and crafting. I'm very excited to be a member of the Pitman School community. I want to find a place that would be like home and where I can teach my love of art. I have found it here. My colleagues, administration, staff, and students have been very welcoming. Teaching 7th and 8th graders and digital photography classes have been a wonderful experience so far. I'm learning a lot from the students, and I think they feel the same way about my classes. I'm truly enjoying getting to know my students, colleagues, administration, and staff, and I feel blessed to be part of the Pitman School District. Thank you so much for your time. Sincerely, Kelly Roberts. All right, so 2 other staff members. Eileen Rothstein is our basic skills math teacher, part-time at the junior senior high school, mostly with the junior high. And Heather Sherrell is in our business academy, a business teacher. She's a first-year teacher. Again, very disappointed she couldn't be able to join us tonight, and she came from the alternate route. So, but she's doing a great job, and she kind of brings that outside experience into the district. All right, we're moving on to Pitman Elementary School. We're going to start with Stephanie.
Hello. My name's Stephanie. I'm teaching 5th grade language arts at the elementary school. I graduated from Rowan. I have 2 bachelor's degrees, one in elementary ed and then another in writing. I'm working toward a master's right now as a reading specialist, and that's like my long-term goal to end up down there. I have 2 kids. I have a son named Wesley, he's 6, and a daughter named Hazel, she's 2. So outside of work, that's basically what I do. Gymnastics, swimming. My son hasn't really found his thing yet, so we're bouncing around karate, tennis, all kinds of stuff. He's going to be like a Lego kid, I know it. I'm trying to make him, as long as he's not a gamer, I'm trying to stay away from that. My experience so far in Pitman has been really positive. So coming from a district, I did 5 years of 3rd grade, where there wasn't really a strong sense of community, and it started to be kind of a place where we got rid of the parties and we got rid of the spirit weeks, and being here makes me remember when I was in school, and that those were all the things that made school really worth it. They don't really care about the essay or the IXL. We care about that stuff, but for them, I think dressing up and being able to have classroom parties. I know the book fair was just here, and someone emailed me and was like, here's $50 for you to spend on your classroom, and it was like thrilling. And then I brought the books in and I showed all them, like, look at these books we got. And then the fundraiser, like, you can get gift cards directly for the teacher. So now I'm like looking for things for the classroom, and I emailed all those parents like, look where your money went, we got all these things for the classroom. So that's been really exciting. Like, it just feels like a strong community, and the kids are excited to be here. I did immediately go out and buy an Eagle shirt and a Philly shirt, because the first 2 dress-up days we had, they were like eyeing me up, like, why are you not wearing something? But it's been a really positive experience, so I'm really happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thanks, Stephanie. Next, our teacher, Kim.
Evening, everybody. Hey. My name is Kim Gavin. I am teaching art in both the elementary school and in Memorial. My education background. So I started out in Parsons School of Design in New York City in the last century, so it's a little while ago. And went in through the field of graphic design, and worked in a fashion house, worked for DC Comics, worked for Golden Books. Decided I needed to move to Philly because life in New York was just a little too much. So came to Philly and was working in the graphic design field and decided this is not giving back to my community. So I went back and got my post-bac teaching certification and was able to join small local schools before I joined the School District of Philadelphia. I taught there for 17 years. Loved it until it got to be too much. I went back and got my master's in art education in special populations, where my emphasis was on English language learners and students with neurodiversities. I love working with, all my kids have superpowers, and they are incredible when they are able to locate their superpowers. It's really exciting to see that happen in the classroom. I've done national conferences, spoken at local conferences, and in Pennsylvania. The most humbling experience was for me to speak at the Kennedy Center about my research, and was asked to publish my work through the Kennedy Center. That was very humbling. I've worked with the Barnes Foundation to develop curriculum for their tours, their educational tours. The pandemic hit, and things kind of rolled all sideways, and my husband and I decided to pack up the household in Philly and move to Mays Landing, where we bought a farm. So we all moved down there, and the commute to Philly was very long for 2 years. So I decided, you know what, let's find something closer to home. And I don't know how it happened. I don't know what stars aligned, but it was incredible to find this space. I love my kids. They are the best. Are they not? They're the best. Okay, because they are they're so full of imagination, and they want to do. I feel like I've crossed over the rainbow with Dorothy to be here. So thank you all for this opportunity.
Thank you. Good job. All right, 4th grade, ELA, Joe. Joe was worried he wasn't going to be able to get home, right, Joe? You got home. You got your shirt and tie on. Good.
First, I really thank you. How did you guys made it convenient that we had the board meeting the night that the Phillies weren't playing. I was like right off the bat, you guys.
They were supposed to, Joe, but we told them they couldn't get
They
it.
were getting a pay raise for a bit. My name's Joe Martino. I guess I began my career at Woodbury, 6th grade history. I went to Rowan University, got my bachelor's in history, and continued on to Wilmington University, got my master's in middle school education. Started at Woodbury. Fortunately, that was during the recession or whatever. There was 10 layoffs, and it led me to a few different opportunities. I took the one in Hamilton. I have had strong roots there, and it's one thing when you have a fiance and no other responsibility to drive 40 minutes to work, and then as you get older, you end up, kids and sports, and it's approaching that, and it's like the 45 minutes ends up wearing on you. And I went there as a 5th grade social studies teacher, and then there were 3 4th grade retirements. So for the next 3 years, I was 4th grade language arts, and was really trying to get out of there until one day it dawned on me, like, you know what, I really think I love 4th grade language arts, and I'm going to keep going with this. And 13 years later, lots of tremendous memories. It was very difficult to leave, but as I'm going to get my administrative degree, I was thinking to myself, I have to start getting back out there again, and put myself in the interview chair. And I'm 90% sure I'm not going to take anything, and it would have to be the perfect job. And well, the perfect job found me, and I was blown away by I know the community pretty well, but I was blown away by the leadership that was provided here. And there was a little bit of delay. I had to finish up at Hamilton, and so I've only been, I think this 3rd week maybe. I think it's my 3rd week in, and it's I feel at home. The colleagues have been phenomenal. Like I said, the administrators. The one thing that is truly evident, and it's like you have an idea of how proactive the families are, but you don't know it until you're really into it. And the proactive parents in the community, they're extremely important to the kids, to us, and they really make Pitman what it is. As for hobbies, you know, everything is, my family. Whatever we're doing is pretty much in the background, and it's pretty much watching both my daughter, my son Joey over there, and my wife Michelle, just watching them with our friends as well, watching them all grow up. And and it sounds cheesy, whatever, but I really do. Teaching is kind of fits that hobby role for me because there's just a thrill to provide that foundation of learning and potential for them to chase for the rest of their lives, and it's truly priceless to me. Thank you for what you have all done and your role for the community as well, and I look forward to a lot of experiences with you. Thanks.
Good. Staying with that fourth grade ELA theme, Lauren?
Hi, I'm Lauren Vanderslice. I am a fourth grade ELA teacher at the new elementary school. I went to St. Joe's University and I double majored in elementary and special ed. And I stayed there and got my master's in education, which was a program really specialized in literacy. I worked in Pennsylvania for 7 years in a middle school setting. So I was teaching 6th grade ELA and then 6th, 7th, and 8th grade math the second part of my day. I took a number of years off and stayed at home with my daughter. And then, fortunately, 2 years ago, I went back as an aide in our school district at Walls. And over those 2 years, I realized I was ready to go back into the classroom full time. So I feel really lucky that I feel like this was like a nice and easy transition for me. I was in 4th grade at Walls, and I worked really closely with Ms. Race, who's still at the new elementary school. So it was a nice and easy and kind of great place to fit right in. I live in Pitman. So talking about commutes, we joke that me and my daughter can't listen to one song from my house to school every day. My daughter's in 4th grade too, which is always fun. Mr. Martino is her ELA teacher, so I fortunately and surprisingly don't see her very often at all. It's kind of really separated. But we have those nice lockers where we all get to say hello. But yeah, it's been great. It's been a really nice, I feel like it was a great year to come back full time because everyone was kind of experiencing something new. So it was really nice to kind of come in and make a new team. So it's been a great start to the year. So thank you.
Going to move over to Memorial School, and these are easy. Obviously, we all know we expanded our preschool program this year, and we continue to expand it. So all of our new staff are preschool teachers, and we're going to start off with Brittany.
Hello, everybody. My name is Brittany Boldazar. I graduated from Rutgers Camden with my bachelor's in childhood studies. I also got my dual certification in general education as well as special education. Out of college, I was an aide in a self-contained room for grades 3 through 5. From there, I taught preschool for a year at the Goddard School. Then I moved over to public schools and I taught kindergarten for 5. And now I'm back in preschool here, teaching the preschool disabled class at Memorial. So far, it has been a great experience for me. It reminds me a lot of the small town that I was born and raised in. I'm sure nobody really knows much about it, but I was born and raised in Riverside. It's up in Bronson County. It's another very small, 1 mile town. So it does reminds me a lot of home here. And there's a great sense of community here, which I feel like makes a big difference for the students, the staff, families, everybody. So I love that. And sorry, I have a cheat sheet, but I don't know if I skipped any of it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. A little bit about me. I live in Woodbury, and I've been there for 4 years now. Also another little small town that I love, but that's it for me. But I'm very thankful to be here. I love it here so far. So thank you for having me.
Kim?
I'm also not a great public speaker, sorry. Stick me in front of a bunch of 3 and 4-year-olds, I'll dance, I'll sing, I'll do that for you, but in front of a whole panel of grown-ups, and I get a little jittery. My name's Kimberly Castle. I was hired as one of the many preschool teachers at Memorial. My educational background, I went to Rowan University, where I got my degrees in writing arts and in early childhood education. Previously, before here, I took a little hiatus from teaching, but before that, I was teaching pre-K as well up at North Hanover Township. Talking about commutes as well. This one is only 25 minutes from me. I'm in Maple Shade. That one was more 45 minutes from me because it's all the way up by the joint base. Sorry. So my hobbies, so if you don't find me reading in my free time, I'm on some new adventure. I love to hike. I like to camp. I love to kayak. So if I can, I'm outdoors. My experience so far in Pitman has been very welcoming. I feel like it has felt a lot like a family. And to go off of what Brittany said, I also grew up in the same small town she did in Riverside, which we found out getting hired, which was pretty funny because she was friends with my younger sister. So it's that same small town field. We had one school from, then I think it was just kindergarten. I don't know if we had pre-K back then, but kindergarten up to high school. And this district gives me that same feel of me growing up. And I would love to bring that as an educator for the children here. And I'm excited for seeing what the potential is this rest of the year for not only their growth, but mine. And I am very thankful for this experience. Thank you.
Another preschool teacher, Molly?
Hi, my name is Molly Ensminger. I'm also a preschool teacher at Memorial, and I graduated from Kent State University in Ohio with an early childhood education degree. And after college, I kind of did a number of things. I taught English in China, and then most recently just came back from teaching preschool also in Germany. So I really love traveling. I love new experiences, and I think having that kind of personality helps with the children, even at such a young age, kind of bringing that into the classroom as well. And I live in Upper Township in Cape May County, so I have a longer commute. I have about an hour, but it's okay because I picked this district for a reason, and I feel like the reason why I picked it, it's showing like it is, like as everyone's saying, such a good community and feeling so supportive. And I was really trying to find a district that I could feel that in, and having administration that was on my side, and I feel like I really found that. So I'm really excited to be here. So thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Deanna?
Hello, my name's Deanna. I graduated from Rowan University with my undergrad in early childhood, and I am currently finishing up my master's through Montclair State. I walk in May, and then after that, I'm gonna get my supervisor certification, and then I only have 3 more classes for that. And then I came from Gloucester Township. I've been teaching preschool for the last 5 years. And I live in the town next. I live in Malka Hill, New Jersey, and obviously New Jersey. And sorry, I'm a little nervous too. And I live with my fiance and our dog. He's a mini golden doodle. And I also love Pitman. It feels so homey. I honestly I'm just so happy. And I love my kids. I love my classroom. I love the people I work with. So it's been a really good fit so far. Thank you.
Ready?
Hi, good evening. My name is Jody McElhenney, and I'm a preschool teacher at Memorial School. Bear with me, I'm very nervous. I'm used to talking in front of 3 and 4-year-olds, so this is quite different. I went to Westchester University. My degree is in early childhood and elementary education, but before that, I was a Pitman High School graduate, so I'm so thrilled to be here. And I've taught kindergarten, 1st and 2nd grade. This is my first time teaching preschool, and I think I've found my dream job, not just in the district, but also the grade level. I'm just so thrilled. And I've been a director of an early childhood center. I've worked in nonprofit realm doing like prevention for domestic violence and sexual violence. So I've had a lot of different experiences that have led me here. And being in Pitman, like I said, is just completely a dream. So thank you so much for having me. I have a 5-year-old daughter that is also in the preschool program. She loves it as much as me. And we are closing on my first house in 2 weeks on Grandview Ave. So very happy to grow roots here. Thank you.
And our last introduction is Kendall.
Hi, my name's Kendall Reed. I'm also one of the new preschool teachers. I went to Westchester University and my undergrad is in marketing. So I'm currently going through the alternate route to get my teaching certification. So this is my first year teaching and it's been very fun. I was previously an aide in Mantua in the preschool disabled program for 2 years. So I do know a little bit about preschool, so it wasn't too crazy, but definitely different being the teacher. I was born and raised in Mullica Hill, so very familiar with Pitman. Love all the little restaurants here. What else am I forgetting? I don't know, I love this community. I love all my coworkers, and they just make it fun to go to work every day. Thank you.
Well, I don't know about you, but I certainly feel really good. This is a great night. We really appreciate the information that you have shared. I certainly would be remiss if I didn't recognize the outstanding efforts of our administrative team who brought these individuals here for the board to ultimately approve and to hire and to bring into this district. You don't know how many times, I had to count it, it's probably 18 times this year where I would get a phone call from one of our administrators, Steve, you can't believe this candidate I have for this position. We were just so excited this summer about the quality of individuals that we were able to bring in. You never know. Again, the climate in the educational world is so much different now than it was many, many years ago. And you just hope, and here we are. And we were very excited about the individuals that we brought into this district. They're going to do great things for us, and we're really excited. I don't know if there's anything else.
I think we just would like to take a brief recess so that we can shake hands with you all and say hello, and we'll return back to our meeting afterwards, but we fully recognize that this may not be how you want to spend the rest of your evening. So feel free to scoot out after.
So what we're going to do is this. We're going to ask, and we'll start Stacy right here. Just kind of go around and let us introduce ourselves personally, and you go around to you, all of you, and then you just you yourself right back out that back way. All right.
Stand up then too. I guess we do.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly.
All the energy. Thanks, Lori. You want to? Love it. Okay. So that's going to bring us back to public comment. Pitman Public School Board recognizes the value of public comment on educational issues and the importance of allowing members of the public to express themselves on school matters of community interest. This is the first of 2 public comments we will have tonight. The first public hearing is on agenda items only. This is public comment, not a dialogue between the board and the public. You will have 3 minutes to speak, and it is your opportunity to comment or ask questions. In accordance with board policy number 0167, we ask that you state your name, municipality of residence, and group affiliation if applicable. To be recognized, please stand behind the podium located to my left and speak clearly into the microphone. Seeing no one. Mrs. Rose, do we have any correspondence?
Yes, we do. We have a thank you card from Miss Catherine Grady, Board of Education volunteers. Thank you so much for your help organizing the Pitman Elementary School Library. Moving a library is a major project, and I could not have done it without your help. I am excited for students to use the space we built. With gratitude, Catherine Grady, PES Library Assistant.
Very nice. Thank you. It's going to take us to meeting minutes. I will now move to accept a motion. The minutes of the Pitman Board of Education as held on the dates listed below are approved as printed and reading dispensed with. May I have a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor? Aye. Any objections? Any abstentions? Okay. It's going to take us to our president's report. So in honor of homecoming, our Pitman gear tonight, or Pitman colors, the sophomore class won the powder puff. So we can so we can, sorry if it's a spoiler alert until you get home. You're DVRing it? I love it. I guess just Mrs. Papalardo, right? Yeah. Only sophomore parent.
Must have been the cheerleaders.
It must have been all 4 of them.
It was really great to see. So I wanted to discuss with the board, and this is more of a discussion item. I sent it out in an email last week regarding a modest budget to be provided for our student representative. So other districts have offered your student representative, a small amount of money to perform some type of school improvement project. So the figure that we had kind of discussed was $500. We would need to discuss framework for the $500, what it would be utilized for, what the process would be for the student representative. They would share out at each of the meetings to update us on what they've chosen to do. I think that it would be really helpful from a governance perspective, because I think that this is a really good opportunity for the students to understand at a greater level what governance looks like, to have them look at our board goals and our district goals and our CSA goals as the framework for how they choose a project, because I think it helps them narrow their focus and understand, kind of how we're governed by some of those limitations. So I've heard from some board members after they received the email. I wanted to speak to the rest of you and see if anyone had any objections to that plan or thoughts or notes that they would like to include in that. None? Okay.
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, I like it.
To get them involved.
Yeah, give them some ownership over
And something that they can say, while I had my year on the board, this is what I was able to accomplish.
Right. And so, we'll work with them. So I'll probably type up some notes as to guidance and a process, and then I would just ask all the board members to take a look at it, so that we can sit down with Ms. Mazzola and talk about it. The next item that I have is the Gloucester and Camden County NJSBA meeting that was held last week. I was able to go, as well as Dave and Stacy and Melissa. You were able to attend virtually, right? Great. So Jesse Young, who's the NJSBA Government Relations, provided some legislative updates. They included there was a miscellaneous host of different legislative updates. Some of the ones that we noted were that certificated substitute teachers have a limitation as to the number of days that they could teach without executive county superintendents. There were some discrepancies amongst different counties in the language that they were pushing out into districts. So they were clarifying that. The state is establishing a commissioned to study the effects of social media usage on adolescents in and out of school. So that was another item that has been passed. Additionally, they did share the notes of the two presentations that evening. One was the legislative update, and the other was from a private communication vendor, Lori Perlow, that she also provided. So those slides should have been attached to not just last email if you'd like to take a look. The next item I wanted to discuss is workshop. I created a training drive earlier today within our Google Drive. You all should have received an email. Please let me know if you didn't. I believe I gave everyone access to edit it. Please upload any presentations or any of the materials that you receive at workshop into the drive. It just gives us the opportunity to cast a really wide net because, we all have different schedules at workshop and items that will interest us. You can, of course, attach any notes that you want to add that you thought were particularly relevant or highlight any items that you thought were useful after you share it in the drive with an attached note. But I think it'd be really great to be able to see some of the presentations we weren't able to attend or review some of the materials. I know that I've looked back. Last year was my first workshop in person. Previously, they were virtual. And I've looked back at some of the material that they provided from last year because I found it really helpful. So hopefully we can.
To that real quick.
Pardon? Yeah, absolutely.
If you don't have, they actually have an app. If you go onto the App Store and just type in NJSBA, the app is very helpful because it can show you an up-to-date list of what workshops are being offered, what different things are going on each day. It will even kind of let you create your schedule. Like I'm usually like paper pen, this to this time to this time, but you can do it all through your phone. So that you kind of have an idea of where you want to go for the day. And then, like I said, if there's anything that really interests you, you can look through and like heart it so that you can remember, oh, I really wanted to go back and look at that one or, find out about that one. So I find it pretty helpful. I know like apps junk up your phone, but I downloaded it just so I have it.
And for the new folks that are going to workshop, you can't always get into the room, so you really want to prioritize. They have limitations as to how many people can be seated. There's been many training sessions that I know Rebecca and I have like stood outside of the door in an effort to make sure that you were waiting to get into it. So it maybe meant that you had to miss one of the training sessions. So just be able and aware and kind of plan accordingly to the ones that really interest you because they almost all were at capacity pretty regularly. So the next thing that we also had in our email was the CSA search committee. It will be Mrs. Bolton, Mrs. Farrell, and myself. We will not be the individuals who are solely selecting the future CSA. We're just starting the ball rolling on some of the preliminary discussions about the framework for the process. All of those kind of key steps that Terry Lewis told us that we should begin doing this month and next month. So in order to work efficiently in a committee structure, each of us are also on a second committee in our regular board committees. So each of those individuals will then be able to share out to their respective committees. So that way we can make sure that the information's going back and forth. Obviously, Mrs. Higby-Iono is excluded from participating in this process, but the remaining 6 of us will all work together as a team as we kind of get into that as in the new year. And then finally, we also have.
Do you want to touch on the drive that they received? They're all invited to that drive so that they can see all the information.
Yes, Mrs. Rose did create a CSA search drive so that we can compile all the information located in one area. So really just in the preliminary stages, but making sure that we're kind of working through the necessary steps so we can plan accordingly. And then the data committee, Mrs. Farrell, Mrs. Pote, and myself will be on the ad hoc committee. We've had a data committee in the past. We've utilized it to analyze different numbers. So I know that we had identified the math curriculum and the math data as something that we wanted to really kind of focus in on. So we will work with Mrs. Moody and Mr. Crispin to figure out a date that works for everyone so that that committee can meet and we can kind of dive deeper into the nuances of the math curriculum and understanding the data that we have this evening and some of our other data points to evaluate that. So that is all I have on the president's report. So I will turn it over to Mr. Crispin.
Okay, just real quick, security drills are provided for you there. Number 2, the strategic planning process is still kind of ongoing, although we're really getting close to the end. We had a meeting a few weeks ago in which we brought all the 3 committees together to kind of finalize some things. So We're really, really getting close, and we'll hopefully have a report to be able to present to the board at our next meeting. I just want to kind of also emphasize from the facilities perspective, the possibility for the need of a referendum. As we evaluated the facility needs in the district, they appear to be needs that we probably would not be able to meet through our operating budget. So a decision will have to be made by the board whether or not they want to pursue a potential referendum. You know, through this whole process, we've talked about there is a window out there in which a large bond will be going off the books, and it would be an appropriate time to bring another one on in terms of trying to keep the tax impact relatively stable. That window is getting very close. We would have to probably make a decision probably very close to the first of next year, probably that January meeting, if not beforehand, in terms of what would be included. And just from the facility perspective, there really isn't that much. We're now, I think, unfortunately, because of consolidation of our schools, the positive that came out of that is now we have two buildings that we really don't have to consider from that facility perspective. So we've narrowed down the focus of a potential referendum. There's been a lot of conversations about HVAC, especially at the elementary level. And then beyond that, we were very fortunate, as we talked about last meeting, to get the ROD grant here, which takes $1 million out of that project because we're going to be able to address the facility issues in the gymnasium and some of those surrounding areas. So with that in mind, everything else beyond that, there's going to be a whole list of things that we could possibly consider, but the focus certainly will be potentially that HVAC at the elementary level. Playground, we are hoping to receive the equipment maybe by the end of this month. If we do, they'll turn that around as quickly as they can. It will still take time. There's the installation. Remember, once it's installed, there's a foam rubber base that's going to be poured around the playground area, which will be very nice. There is a blacktop area also adjacent to that. And then we're also right now trying to plan some of the other little pieces to all this. There's a storage area that we need to bring over, potentially the bathrooms, the tables that we have at various places around the elementary school currently to bring over, maybe putting them on concrete pads. And I know there's been a desire by the board to maybe provide some covering over some of those areas to provide some levels of shade. So all those things are pieces that we're considering right now, and we'll keep you posted. The other thing that we want to report on tonight is our state assessment data. There is a link on the agenda for you to click on, which will provide you a couple handouts that we have for those members of the community who might be joining us online. Anybody would like copies of these, please let us know, and we'll get those sent out to you. And I think Rebecca has copies. We have copies for any members of our audience? Okay, so they have copies are out there for those that would like to see them.
The full set of slides will be on the website either tomorrow or Friday.
Okay. So first of all, just to kind of give you the bigger picture of things, you know, we're getting back into that more normal routine as far as our state assessments are concerned. We no longer have these fall assessments, Start Strong, that we were dealing with, which was kind of really of a hassle. We're now back to the spring assessment. We've had two. We had the one coming out of COVID last year, 2 years ago, and then this past year, which was kind of a more normal year for us. So we're getting better data, I think, as we now start to move forward and get back on track. We are working closely with our Linkit representatives to package this in such a way that hopefully it's a little bit easier to understand. We're only providing you a very small part of the information that they have provided to us. And also, as they gather more information with all the districts that they work through and all the information that's shared by the state, we'll start to get very nice comparisons between how we performed and how districts in our county performed, how the state performs, how like districts similar to ours perform. So that'll be something that'll be coming out a little bit later this year. So we're just looking really at where we are right now. I'm going to give a quick snapshot, and I'm going to turn it over to Rebecca, who's going to kind of give you a little bit more in terms of the subgroups and kind of our plans for the future. So I'm just going to take a look at the first two slides. I think they're as simple but as informing as we possibly might want to take a look at. It gives you the grades 3 through 9. It gives you the number of individuals that were tested, and then it kind of breaks you out into the 5 levels. What you need to understand is the first 3 levels are not proficient. So we are targeting levels 4 and 5 is proficiency. So I want to draw a line, imaginary line or a physical line. So what probably most of us would want to focus on, I'll give you an example. If we look at grade 3, I think the easiest thing to do is go across to level 4 and level 5. If you take the district, which we're at 52%, and 5%. That adds up to 57%. So we have 50% proficiency in grade 3. And if you compare that to the state, you would add the 37 to 5. The state's at 42. Now you can see there's a little bit of a difference there in terms of how our students are performing compared to the state. I think if you would do that in ELA, you would see that we're, I'd say, relatively stronger at the younger grades. So in grade 3, it was 57 to 42. In grade 4, it comes out to 69 to 52. In grade 5, it comes out to 67 versus 53. Then as we now get to that 6th, 7th, and 8th grade level, which was formerly the middle school, in 6th grade, it's 45 to 49, 45 district, 49 state. For 7th grade, 36 district, 56 state. Grade 8, 60% district, 56% state. And then at 9th grade, 59% district, 52% state. So that's how I would just suggest looking at it, the simplest way possible for both ELA and for math. As we dig deeper, I think we'll get a little bit more insights in terms of maybe kind of where some of the areas of deficiencies, if there are any, that there might exist. We do get information from the state where they take this and they break it out into subgroups in terms of skill sets for ELA, correct?
Yes, and we will do analysis internally with staff. They've already begun doing that. We get 2 types of reports from the state that break out skill areas, essentially, domains in both subjects, math, ELA, and also science. Those are called the content rosters and the evidence statements, and those have already been sent to our staff. And on the October 6th in-service, that was one of the times where data analysis was happening in grade level groups and or content groups. And then, like you said, in March, we'll get some other data that compares us to the county, that Lincoln will do an analysis for us based on our DFG, district factor group. And we have other data points that will help us in understanding challenges and strengths by grade level and by content area beyond just state assessments. Remember, this is one snapshot of one day and one test. There are a lot of other things that we look at as well, like Lincoln benchmarks, Excel diagnostic, various assessments that are teacher created, open ed resources, etc. I think that's what you're talking about.
And certainly as we look at this, I think we would all say we certainly want to be higher than the state in terms of our performance. So it's a little concerning in areas where we are not. And we know that starts kind of at that 6th, 7th, and 8th grade level. We've talked here for the whole year about some of what those challenges are relative to the amount of time that we have for this area of instruction. I think the surveys that we've done, districts in Gloucester County far, far and exceed the amount of time we were providing in ELA instruction at those grade levels. We've made, a good start in terms of 6th grade now, because now with 6th grade at the elementary level, it's given us flexibility. It's not tied into a schedule any longer. So we have a little bit more flexibility, and I think we've started to add some instructional time at that level. So it's going to be very interesting to see what that impact might be. We've not been able to do that at this particular point at the 7th and 8th grade level. We feel that possibly next year, as we look to expand the schedule from an 8-period day to a 9-period day, maybe that extra period in 7th and 8th grade will provide us an opportunity to do that. But in saying that, I got to say, the only way that happens, you need time, but then you need teachers. And that's the challenge we're going to face. So, and right now, it's not a matter of just having a teacher take an extra period, because you'll see on the agenda, we have lots of teachers teaching extra periods. So that's where the challenge will be. But hopefully we can maybe at least start by creating that time. So that's ELA. April mentioned before, math has been a challenge. And as we flip the page there or go down to the next chart, again, we start off, I'll go with 3rd grade is 52%, 46% state. Grade 4 is 46% to 44% state. Grade 5 is 39% district, 40% state. Grade 6 is 21% district, 35% state. Grade 7 is 35% district, 34% state. 8 is 22% district, 18% state. Algebra 1 is 41% district, 35% state. and geometry is 43% district and 54% state. And you can see the totals down at the bottom. So math is certainly an area that we're going to want to take a look at in preparation for next year and what we may want to do budgetarily. My comment has always generally been universally, especially at the elementary level. Teachers may disagree, I'm not sure, but my comment generally is, I find that at the elementary level, the resource drives the instruction. When you're an elementary teacher, you're teaching multiple subjects. Now, here we do some switching at some of these grade levels, but early on, if you're teaching all subjects, ELA, there's a lot of components to ELA. And in math, we have a textbook, and we have a resource, and we have certain resources we use. A lot of times that drives, and if that resource is not rich and demanding and have that element of productive struggle that we're looking for, then sometimes it's not going to be reflective here in terms of how our students perform. So I know that's probably something we're going to be looking at as we potentially look at new resources for potentially next year.
We have been looking at new elementary math resources the last 2 years, and we put it on pause twice, partially because of just what has been on our plate last year, as you know, with the transition to the different buildings, and also a financial question, and also we weren't ready to jump into that the year before last. Then last year, we just kind of paused it. We have looked at quite a few publishers. We have all our notes from that query. We will need another look at some publishers again, and we do anticipate, and you'll hear me talk about that a little bit, we do anticipate getting a new product. Many of our teachers in K-5 are asking for something else, something different than my math, and we might look at the same product we use in middle and high. We've seen some gains there, in junior and senior high now, rather. We use the Big Ideas program there, so we may look at an HMH that's a publisher of that. We looked at a few others. Envisions was one from Pearson, and a couple of others. So we are going to continue that query, and I do anticipate that will be something we ask for in budget time, a new resource for K-5 math. We won't need it in 6th grade because they're still on the Big Ideas path that we went in when they were on middle school. So that is something definitely we will look at.
When you say we, are teachers a part of looking at all of these
Major part of it.
materials? And
Teachers guiding this and advising me more than really me making a decision. We had presenters come in both in the last 2 years, so we can look to that. We have a rubric we created that teachers are filling in what they believe to be the strengths and weaknesses of each of the products. They tried them out last year too, like we got all the samples. With the move, a lot of people sent samples back to me or threw them out because they didn't take them with them, but I don't care, I can ask for samples again for a few of them. I talk a lot to curriculum peers when I'm at the elementary curriculum meetings and the major, the larger Gloucester County curriculum meetings. I have documents where everyone in the county has shared with me, what everybody's using, and we're a hodgepodge of the ones I just mentioned, pretty much. We have robust resources for intervention as well in our district with IXL and some open ed resources that we already use. So I feel like an academic push we've made this year, and teachers have taken us on with this, and I appreciate it very much, to use IXL with more fidelity and in a quantitative way and more consistency and regularity to hit the skills that need help. And the other cool thing about that intervention resource we have in grades 2 through 12 is that it added some new features that I won't get into all of those with you today, but one of them is the quiz feature. So I had a meeting the other day with Jeannie Marson, who teaches 5th grade math, and Sherry Tellini, also 5th grade math, and they've been flying with this quiz section in IXL to realize, hey, I can just assign this to my students. It's already made. Some of it might be auto-graded, some of it may be longer questions with greater rigor that they may have to do, but it's really helping them from the diagnostic assessment to make decisions on, even in classwork, where a student is struggling, they know, okay, I can give you this extra quiz. It's just really been beautiful. That's just one small facet. There are ways that can happen in ELA too. There are other facets that are just really very interesting. Ironically, I'm going tomorrow to IXL Live, a whole day workshop in Glassboro, to learn more about it. I'm excited about that. I'm proud of our teachers for jumping in with us on this initiative we put together as an admin team this year to just do more with the products we buy for intervention. So sorry if I got on a tangent there.
Can I ask another quick question too? Looking at the data for math, why do we only have 23 students that took the test for geometry?
Because they only have to take a certain test based on when they are in that class. So if only those students had to take geometry.
In ninth grade. So that would have been the one class, because it's just ninth grade.
Got it.
And I can't report out Algebra 2 to you because I don't have enough students for the end. Thanks for reminding me of that.
It was going to be one of, probably taking this from Rebecca, another comment. Another thing I would be looking at, and I want you to know we are looking at, and it's a little bit, I'm going to say it's a concern, but something we need to examine, is that level 5, when you then start comparing our district to the state, we're not quite where I think we would like to be. And you look at that in both ELA and in math. And in math, we have a couple 0% in terms of level 5. So, that's a kind of reflection of our curriculum. It's a level of reflection of the instruction. And we went to our math PLCs, and they were very open and honest. He said, Steve, back in the day when we had 90 minutes, we had our time to teach the basic fundamentals of math, the computational pieces. And then we had time to do the application. Now with the half that amount of time, we're barely getting through the computational piece, and we're not giving the students the challenging type application problems they need in order to be successful and achieve at that level 5. And probably the same would exist in both ELA and math. So again, something we're looking at, something we're working towards, but something we can do better in. Any other further comments relative to, because I think it's just reference the fact that we also are reporting in the attached documents on the areas as far as subgroups are concerned, because we do have to report there.
You don't see that necessarily in these slides, but I am going to put a full slide set on our webpage tomorrow that is similar to these blue slides that you can see that will have everything regarding subgroups, but I did create a summary for you for tonight that I'd like to share with you on areas of focus for improvement in proficiency rates for subgroups. In ELA, I noted grade 7 economically disadvantaged students fell below their peers in grades 4, 5, and 7 through 9. Interestingly enough, in ELA, male students underperformed female students. So that is something we'll definitely talk about, and I will share this with staff so that we can run that together. And then grade 4 all the way through grade 4 through 9, where I was able to have the N of 10 or above. Students with IEPs fell below in ELA their peers. So those are things that we will talk about as an academic community here, teachers, administrators, and work to see what we can do to address that. In mathematics, grades 3 through 5 and 7, we need to focus on improvement for economically disadvantaged students. In grades 3 to 5 and 7, same grades actually. In math, we have the opposite regarding gender. Female students underperform male students in mathematics. So that is something definitely I think we can talk about as a community and find ways to address it, whether that's like something pedagogical right in the classroom, calling on both genders equitably, and that just could be something we don't even notice as teachers ourselves that we're doing. If we can maybe be more cognizant of that, or do our analysis of the results, the full results of a quiz, or the full results of a test, or the full results of some kind of skills practice or one of these intervention tools, and do that analysis ourselves as teachers to say, oh, let me see if that's shaking out that way throughout the year as well, not just on these end assessments. Something interesting, I think, for us to look at. And then in math, grades 4 and 7 underperformed their peers, students with IEPs. And then in science, we also saw a disparity, just like in ELA, with grade 11 male students, grade 5 female students, grade 8 and 11 students with IEPs, and grade 5 economically disadvantaged students. And you will see that data again on the slide that I will post. And if the board would like me to email that whole slide, I'm glad to do that as well. So our plans for the future, how are we going to address needs? I think that, we often forget to talk about high flyers and talk about differentiation needs for those students. And that's something we as a community started talking about last year in some gifted and talented PD for the year. And we'll keep doing that. So I don't want to only think of intervention for students who are facing challenges. We want that differentiation for the top as well. I know it doesn't relate directly to this, but I do want to say it. Regarding that category called the highest level, advanced or exceeding expectations, sure, we want to look at, can we add more in that realm? We also want to look at the bubble, which we consider probably the approaching category, people who are at that 3, who are maybe very close to the 4 and 5. We use Linkit data to help us with that. That's our benchmark. And sometimes we can look at all the approachings, and they even have a category there called bubble. On our Linkit benchmark, it's a little bit different from that. And the bubble students are the ones who made it, but by a hair. So we want to concentrate on making sure we're going to keep them where we want them for proficiency at the end of the year. We gave staff a choice this year to give them more instructional time back, and I think it was the right decision. In the past, we used 3 benchmarks, Form A, Form B, Form C from Lincoln in math and ELA. We gave staff the choice. You don't have to do Form A if you don't want to this year because it's on the current grade level standard, so they haven't learned this material. We wanted to give the choice. There's questions, suggestions from our staff. We listened and we really wanted to say, yep, you make the professional decision on that. We're keeping Form B, we're keeping Form C because we think that gives us richer data for the end line, for the end of year assessments. So that's something, a choice that we made. We are going to increase our usage of intervention strategies. You kind of heard me say that already about IXL, but we also have one called RAS Plus that does a lot of similar things, similar skills boosting, similar targeted work, targeted intervention, if you will, in literacy. And I've done a lot of work on learning more about newer facets of that program, and I created 2 one-sheets for our staff this year, one on RAS Plus, one on IXL. It's everything you need to know about these, new things you can try, and I'll just keep offering open opportunities for staff to learn more in that way, whether that's on our PD days or maybe there's some one-and-dones that I do as a voluntary thing if folks want after school. I also found some live and recorded webinars that are on demand on RAS Plus and IXL that I just keep sharing out with our staff, and a lot of people have taken me up on that, and I really appreciate it. We're going to improve consistency and frequency on student access to practice assessments. For the last 3 years, I've created a document that I just keep updating called Familiarizing Students with Assessment Tasks, Assessment Questions, etc. There's lots of ways that we can do that. New Jersey created a digital library now of practice items for anyone in the state to use. That's one thing. You heard me talk about these other intervention tools that can do similar things. We bought a new product this year that I'm extremely excited about. I went to the PD with Lori Boyle and a few others from grades 6, 7, 8 in ELA. And it's a new program called My Perspectives. It is a full anthology program. Ironically, I went to my son's school. He's at Kingsway Middle, and they adopted it this year too. So I felt all right, cool. We have some people maybe we could reach out to and work together. But it's all encompassing, and we liked it. We worked together all last year, the ELA teachers at the middle school and me. And we looked at the different presentations, and we picked this one together because one of the things we liked about it, right, is the practice, like the way assessments are written similarly to things they'll see down the road on these types of assessments. And they're rich assessments. It's like paired text options with comprehension questions, writing tasks, model text, novel options. I can't even describe it. My eyes were bugging out. I was like, do I need to go work for Savvis maybe? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I was getting excited as a former English teacher about this product. So that's something that we're going to work on. I think maybe it's going to move our needle a bit. And I hope that we can do some shadowing from high school teachers to junior high so that they can maybe make an informed decision, maybe for next year or maybe for the following one. But maybe we move to something like that at the high school level too. We'll see. We don't need to get ahead of ourselves, but I wanted you to know about that. We are going to work on increasing options for reteaching and reassessment. That's a philosophical, pedagogical conversation. You know, other places in the county have very hard and specific retest policies. It's not something we have created here. We have philosophically had lots of book studies, conversations over the years on this topic, like no zeros is one, and different things that like get us to the idea of, you know, if we come up with a term of like a student does not pass with like, let's say a B, let's say we say it's a B, or we say it's an 85 or an 80, whatever we decide, that kids can make up assessments and we can decide as a community together. It's not like a top-down thing. What do we put our, how do we like make these parameters? Because I think like the reteach and the reassess might change the game for some students. It's a lofty thing to take on, and it'll take time to navigate together as a teaching community, but some of our staff are already doing this in fabulous ways. Like, if you get a certain grade, you're allowed to come in and retake it. Some teachers make the choice to average the two. Some teachers take the new grade. Some teachers make this just for tests. Some make it for quizzes and tests. So it's a pedagogical philosophy that we should talk about as a community, because perhaps on some level by the end of the year we've moved the needle further, because we have said essentially to our students, the learning is what matters. I don't want you stopping at fractions until you know fractions. There's lots of ways we could do that, but that's something that is certainly a professional goal of mine, to keep having that conversation, and I think one that is valuable. We added a new literacy program. I told you earlier that my perspectives in 6 to 8. We may move toward a new math program. We talked about that, and I think I said already that we want to focus on students achieving past that approaching level. Like we want to target maybe those bubble students, what I said already. I also have those 2 stipended positions in our district for teachers, because I believe in my soul in teacher leadership and collaboration. So we created something called data leaders that are, we've had them for a while, that are in math and ELA, pre-K to 6, and then 7 to 12. And we have content leaders that mostly are district K-12, and then my science, math, and ELA, which are the tested subjects, are split, as I said, pre-K to 6, 7 to 12. I pretty much have all of those filled, and we have talked about those job descriptions together as a community of data and content leaders with me. They are funded out of Title II, which is professional development, and so they really are meant to be teacher leaders who lead conversations about assessment design, assignments, grading policy, skills deficits, skills strengths, chronology of curriculum, curricular choices, etc. I could talk about this for hours. My data leaders came up, and content leaders are coming up with concrete goals for me for this year. They can do 1 or 2, and they're going to lead conversations about those goals through their PLCs, their personal learning communities, and they may do like some one and dones like that are voluntary, like lunches and learns they can do, after school activities, before school activities, whatever. The data leaders they get to pick is what I mean by whatever. And the data leaders are going to create little snapshots for me of data throughout the year. I just had a meeting yesterday with Tom Taka, who took this on for math, pre-K to 6 and 7 to 12, because no one else was taking it on. I appreciate him very much for doing that. And he is analyzing NJSLA, those more specific reports, the content ones and the evidence statements, and he's pulling out the challenges, the top 2 challenges for every grade level, to say these are the ones we maybe want to look at for this year. And that's just one example of one person. Other folks are doing other things. I can't speak to them all that, because I'm still in the stage of like reading them and also gathering them, those goal statements from them. I'm trying to make myself more accountable and make my content and data leaders more accountable for like tangible products by the end. And we're doing the best we can. This is a really major transition year, but I'm so proud of teacher leadership in this district. All of our teachers for what they do every day. It's a lot. We've been through a pandemic, and like Mr. Crispin just said, it's our 2nd year of maybe feeling closer to normalcy. We're just going to keep growing. That's just who we are in this place. And I'm just going to give that optimism.
Thank you, Rebecca. So we have a lot of work ahead. and we look forward to working with the data team to kind of really take a close look at this.
I just have one quick question, and I'll save the rest for the data committee. But my question is just about the intervention. When we talk about the intervention tool of IXL, how is that utilized, say, for a first grade student who needs additional help?
It's not used in first, it's grade 2 to 12.
So like a second grade?
Second grade.
Sure.
They may be using it as like all the students take the original diagnostic.
Mhm.
It's going to spit out for the teacher which skills that person might need extra help on, and the teacher can do one of two things, one of a million things actually. They can pull a small group and do a skills practice lesson right with the students right there.
Mhm.
They can assign skills practice that is on that particular content topic to specific students. They can realize 80% of my class doesn't know this one thing, they can assign it to the whole class. Many of my teachers are starting to do something new this year. They're doing it as like a do now or a bell work or right when you come in, particularly in junior and senior high, but I would say upper elementary doing some of this as well. Where if the goal, if the research in IXL is suggesting to us that answering 30 questions a day is going to show that growth, that's what our goal is. We're setting those question goals with students, and we're finding ways and time and space to do that throughout the week in a consistent way. I am asking teachers to think about, can I offer more of this beyond the day, and are there ways for us to communicate with families about this beautiful tool we have, so you as a family can decide, do we want to do more if we know that our students may need it. We certainly don't want to be excessive in the homework we assign, because we know there is a work-life balance that we all need in the world, but that's another option. Mr. Gager at the high school just brought something else up to me this week. When all the teachers are sending me their IXL implementation plans, we asked for that document this year. It's just 2 questions where they're telling us, like, how are we doing it differently this year? Or how are we increasing what we're doing or changing or whatever? And how are we quantifying it? And he said, Rebecca, if we have access to this all year, can we maybe send something out to families, similar to something I did for some of the other like intervention products we bought out of ESSER and ARP, and let students address needs and maybe possible learning loss through summer access. So that's just something else we're thinking about. But there are a myriad of ways IXL can be used. I'm going to certainly learn a lot more about it tomorrow when I do this extra PD for myself that I will share with everyone in our academic community. But it could be for the quiz idea, like I just told you. It could be targeted to specific people and to specific students for their specific needs. So differentiation is what I'm saying. And the other thing is that diagnostic, they retake it again, and it offers to students their individualized needs. I hope that answers some.
It does, and I definitely think this is something we can, we can look at in the data committee. I think some of the challenges is that, you have a student that perhaps struggles in math and they're in second grade. IXL provides the feedback via text. That's not likely very accessible to that child because, that's not really the mechanism through which they're probably going to gain better understanding. So I do think that, as a parent only seeing it through the limited lens that I've seen, I definitely would love to learn more about how that is directly impacting intervention comparative to some of the intervention tools that we've utilized in the past that have been more, been delivered really by a BSI teacher or other types of, right, but other types of directed instruction.
Yeah, this is only one part of our repertoire of options in intervention. The simplest intervention, obviously, is in the classroom where we are reteaching everything I just got emotional about for a minute, happening within the room in guided math and guided reading, where you're pulling skills groups, et cetera. You're pulling students together, 3 or 4 students to teach skills at their level. So that's happening as well. Now, I know IXL also brought in some video components that might help that text issue, but again, we'll learn more about it.
Okay. And then just one more thing, if I could just put it on your radar, we could potentially discuss it as part of the data committee, is just looking at the potential breakdown of male versus female students and types of intervention strategies that are utilized with them, as well as IEP students, since those tend to be 2 of the subgroups that we'll be evaluating as part of the data committee.
Sure.
I think that's probably a lens we'll want to look through, so. Good, okay.
Yep.
That's it. That's it for me. Anyone else? Mr. Crispin, did you have anything else?
Nope.
Okay, let me pull this up real quick. Sorry. My computer. That's going to bring us to our student representative report. Ms. Mazzola is at the Powder Puff game. She's a junior, right? So not victorious, but
There's always next year.
there is always next year for them. Not for the seniors, though. So I'll go ahead and read it real quick into the record. Students in the senior high enjoyed an amazing homecoming event run by Student Council. The dance was very well received, and students cannot wait to vote for homecoming king and queen in the coming week. Homecoming Spirit Week is in the midst with themed dress-up days, hall decorating, powder puff, quizzo, and a pep rally all taking place this week. The senior high has been buzzing with exciting energy as they take on Spirit Week with competitive vigor in hopes that their class will come out victorious. Senior night for both the boys and girls soccer was thrilling with 2 victories for our Panthers as we celebrated the departing seniors and wished them very well as they continue with the conclusion of their seasons. The spring musical for the 23-24 school year has been announced as SpongeBob the Musical. Keep an eye out for additional information regarding the dates of the musical. So that is going to bring us to our Finance and Facilities Committee. I will turn that over to Committee Chairperson, Mr. Grossman.
Pitman Board of Ed Finance and Facility Committee met on Wednesday, October 11th, 2023 at 12:30 p.m. In attendance were Board President April Miller, Board Member Rebecca Igbiaono, Business Administrator Carissa Rose, myself, and Interim Superintendent Steve Crispin. Topics of discussion beyond the normal bills and state reporting included an insurance waiver that had required parents to carry $1 million in liability insurance to transport their own child is to be waived. We have finalized our 23-24 school year contract with the Borough of Pitman for our school resource officer. Essentially, we will have 2.5 officers on average patrolling our 3 schools. We discussed agenda item of renewing our Rosetta Stone contract for this year. This year, we have 77 students attending GCIT at a cost of $2,592 a head. We discussed the agenda item entering into a substitute medical provider contract for nursing substitutes. We also discussed getting out to bid the items approved in the RAG grant monies, as well as a referendum planning startup. And lastly, the 24-25 school year budget preparation as we enter the last year of the S2 budget bill and our utilization of one-time use funds for several positions that will require attention, as well as beyond what is sure to be some stressful staffing challenges should the cuts be significant again next year. With that, I conclude my report, and I make a motion to approve items 1 through 16 on the agenda for approval. Do I get a second?
Second, Igbiaono. Okay, any discussion? Mr. Crispin?
Nope.
Okay. Mrs. Rose, please call the vote.
Igbiaono,
Yes.
Bolton,
Yes.
Farrell,
Yes.
Papalardo,
Yes.
Pote,
Yes.
Grossman,
Yes.
Nerlens.
Yes, motion's passed. Thank you. That'll bring us to curriculum instruction, and I will turn it over to Committee Chairperson, Mrs. Papalardo.
The Curriculum Instruction Committee met on Tuesday, October 10th at 4 p.m. In attendance were Mr. Crispin, Mrs. Moody, Mrs. Rose, Mrs. Bolton, and myself. Some of the items we discussed included some of the professional development opportunities that are on the agenda for tonight. And one that was highlighted is in regards to training for some of our new 504 coordinators in the district. We also discussed the Engineers on Wheels program that is entering our schools from Rowan. It's something that Mrs. Gerace has been doing for several years now, and it's a really neat program, and we are approving tonight so that they can come in for the rest of the school year. We also talked about the vision and mission statements and goals for both academies. Our STEAM one is already set, and we are approving it tonight. Our Business Academy, we are building a group of stakeholders who will work together to write the mission statement and the goals, so they are becoming at a later date. We did talk a little bit about the spring 2023 NJSLA data and how it would be presented tonight. We talked about some increase in staffing hours due to some added classes that needed to be covered. And we talked about lunch and recess coverage at Pitman Elementary School and the need to perhaps add another aide to help during those times. So with that, I'd like to make a motion to approve items 2 through 36 on the agenda as written.
Second, Bolton.
Any discussion?
Can I ask a question on topic 31? I don't know if that's been made public yet, some of that news, but is that affected at all?
Nope, everything that's there is still there.
Yeah, that all stays for tonight.
Okay.
Okay, any other discussion? Seeing none, Mrs. Rose, please call the vote.
Higby Iona?
Yes to all except 34, from which I abstain.
Bolton?
Yes. Do you need to abstain? Does she need to abstain from 35? Or are you related?
Yeah.
Oh. Yes, please. I saw that earlier too, and I forgot all about it. Yes. Thank you.
You get a 50% cut in pay.
Yeah. Farrell?
Yes. Papalardo?
Yes.
Pope?
Yes.
Grossman?
I have to abstain from 33 and yes to the rest.
And Miller?
Yes, and I abstain from number 2.
It's a lot of abstentions.
I know, right? Sorry.
It's actually gotten way better.
Pitman Circle.
Yeah, you're right, it has approved. Okay, so it's gonna go to communication policy, and I'll turn it over to Chairwoman Mrs. Higby Iota.
The Communication and Policy Committee met on October 11th at 5 p.m. In attendance were Mrs. Miller, Mrs. Farrell, Mr. Crispin, Mrs. Rose, and myself. The committee is recommending approval of the second reading of the district-wide parent and family engagement policy. The committee also discussed and is recommending approval of the first reading of a handful of policy revisions listed in the agenda as recommended by Strauss Esme to keep our district policies in compliance with applicable statutes. And finally, the committee also discussed the impracticality of adopting a blanket policy on when the hiring of assistant coaches or advisors for athletics or other extracurricular activities is warranted. So that'll be handled on a case-by-case basis. I'll now move to approve items 1 and 2 as written.
And a second? Second, Farrell. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, Mrs. Rose, please call the vote.
Higby Iona?
Yes.
Bolton?
Yes.
Farrell?
Yes.
Papalardo?
Yes.
Pope?
Yes.
Grossman?
Yes.
And Miller?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. That'll bring us to our second public comment. Please state your name, municipality of residence, group affiliation if applicable, and limit your comments to 3 minutes. Would anyone like to speak? Okay, seeing none, that will take us to old business. Anything, Mr. Crispin? How about new business? Okay. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Papalardo.
May I have a second?
Second, Farrell.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The next regular Board of Education meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, November 15th, Pitman High School Media Center. Thank you.